Welcome to Commander Community, the show where we discuss everything, the people, the places, and the things beyond the tabletop of Magic the Gathering's most popular format, brought to you by Star City Games.
I'm Anthony Alongi.
And I'm Sheldon Menery. In each episode, we'll address one or more hot-button issues in the Commander community. We'll talk about Commander's current events and the intersection of our hobby with life in general, whether that's nerd culture, food, music, booze, anything at all, really.
And I am 100% likely to cross over from any TV show you've ever heard of to ask Sheldon, what the hell is wrong with you?
Well, I got to be honest, Anthony, this week, what's wrong with me is I'm out of Kleenexes after that video that you put together.
Oh, well, yeah, that was, I'm not happy to hear you're out of Kleenex, but I'm glad that you found it rewarding. So,
if you don't know, Anthony put together some of the luminaries of Commander and a very nice get well video for me as I hadn't been feeling well from the chemo. Good news is that positive energy may have done something, because the day after the video I had a scan and it revealed 15 to 20% shrinkage of all the tumors.
We will keep making videos for as long as that seems to help. No, in all seriousness, there are an awful lot of people who contributed to this, and I want to give a special shout out to Jeremy Noel at Star City Games, obviously Pete Heffling, the whole crew, Heath and Cedric, everybody there, very supportive of the effort, made it possible. Obviously, your colleagues and my co-conspirators on the Rules Committee and Community Advisory Group were key to that effort, as well as so many other contributors. We weren't able to get everybody on, too. I just want you to know here in public that you were well loved beyond the scope of what could fit into one video. So I just want to say thank you to everybody who contributed, and we're looking for ways to keep Sheldon out of Kleenex and with tumors shrinking for the foreseeable future.
For as long as we can possibly make that happen.
Yeah, absolutely. But it was a joy to make and a joy to make. It was a joy for me to record my clip and to talk with many awesome people in the community.
And I got a note from Benny Smith who said, "Hey, I was supposed to be in that video, but I'm not sure what happened." Because I noticed that his photo was in the thumbnail. Yeah. But then I didn't see him in there. Yeah.
Any errors, any omissions, any problems there, it all falls on me. I was the project manager and so it's on me. I do know that Benny was really enthusiastic to do this. There were others that were as well. And so honestly, we could have made and I've talked with Benny, I've talked with everybody, I believe who contributed. And I think that, we could have easily had a 2-hour video, like so easily. It is crazy the impact you've had, Sheldon. So the bottom line here is that we could do this we could do episodes. We could have a season 1, season 2. We could do a whole thing. We could play it out one season too far, like Seinfeld. We could do all kinds of things. So, but the world is our oyster, and hopefully yours too. Yeah.
All right. I really appreciate the effort. If you haven't seen the video, we'll put the link down in the show notes. Yeah. And it really is a who's who of the Commander community. And Commander is the community that can create this kind of thing. Yep. Right? Mm-hmm. That, I don't see it some other format, whether it's Legacy or Standard or whatever. The people. Right. Yeah, banding around a cause like that. Yeah, and it's heartwarming to think that I had something to do with setting the tone of the thing that would then come back, sort of shine its light on me later on.
It's really cool, even though I know you're going to live another 10, 20, 40 years. It's really cool to see the legacy already, or part of your legacy. There's more to your legacy than the games we play, but to see that part of your legacy already so well expressed is, I hope, as rewarding as it felt to make the video. So,
well, like I said, the Commander is definitely a community. Yeah. And let's swing right into the A block then and talk about our community and how, we did some healing with me. Now let's do some healing with the community. Yeah. Because the real elephant in the room here is the community division that happened about a month ago with the secret lair of Walking Dead, which I think we then saw some of the leftovers bubble up last week during the first Commander Legends previews.
Right.
So I don't think we need to rehash the arguments about the secret lair, but we're going to talk about what we can do to bring the community back together and where we go for here.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it bears noting that you were kind of in the pretty upset camp.
Yeah, I was. I did, for those that, well, nobody else would have been on the private communiques between me and you. I don't often do this, and I did send one. Actually, I do send. Well, besides the government, yes.
Yeah, I was going to say me, you, and the NSA.
Hi again, guys.
And the reverse vampires.
Yes, reverse vampires. I did send you a message saying that I thought where I was leaning pretty strongly was toward. I don't know if I said ban, and I was thinking at that point, even as I sent it, like maybe there's a solution in between a ban and something else, or making some statement or something that would have sent a signal back to Wizards that said, you're violating the spirit of the format, and it's less about the intellectual property crossover. That I see why people are upset. It doesn't happen to bother me, but I just think they goofed that. I'll talk about that in a second. What bothered me more was that they were saying, well, anything that has a black border on it, okay, it's going to be Commander legal. So here you go. Let's design these cards and then make it so that virtually nobody can access them. This is different qualitatively to me than the maintenance of a reserve list, because those cards happened in the past. Those represent mistakes or whatever that happened in the past. Here we are in 2020 releasing cards that are clearly not going to be accessible. And the rules the rules text or the rules on the commander page talk about how the idea is to be able to access a whole pool and to be able to any black border card. And so it feels like Wizards is saying, haha, rules committee now, and I know they're not doing that, but it's this unfortunate feel, and that whole feel of it. And I don't like making rulings. I'm a policy geek. I don't like making rules or rulings on feelings either. So I get why you did what you did. I'm not like upset now or anything like that. What helped me a lot, honestly, was Mark Rosewater, and I hope he meant it, when he said, we just because we released it like this doesn't mean we can't do an alternate version of it that's more in line with the Magic universe later. And when I read that, I said, okay, now I'm just upset that you guys really goofed the rollout of this, because you could have done what you did in Ikoria, where you had the cards and then you made this cool crossover theme thing. And what would have been really cool would be to have this Walking Dead thing. If you wanted to do it, have the Walking Dead thing, but have the name of the thing that's going to be, without people understanding really what or why. It would have been a really cool, weird reverse spoiler thing. That would have been, to me, would have been like, oh, okay. And now maybe I even want to get them. I mean, I don't, because there's other reasons I don't like Secret Lair, but at least it would have been like, oh, okay, now I got to think about this. This is an interesting pitch. And I think it would have hit the community a lot more, a lot better.
Yeah, I want to address one particular issue, and that's the availability.
Yeah.
The availability, the countries, there are people from a few countries or continents that are upset because they don't have the availability. Mm-hmm. It's not because there's some Wizards of the Coast idea that they don't want to distribute to Brazil,
right, or
Argentina or wherever, right? Mm-hmm. They would like to sell their product in as many markets around the globe as they possibly can. Mm-hmm. There are international and national trade issues with getting this product to those nations. Right. Wizards of the Coast would love to send them, right? So people are like, well, they hate our country, or they're intentionally excluding us. They're not actually excluding you. It's more likely that your own nation is excluding you by its trade policies, as opposed to, or distribution policies. Then Wizards of the Coast just doesn't want to get you the cards. I'm sure that they would love to send you the cards, to be able to send you the cards. So that's a big thing. It's a conversation that I had during that week with a couple of highly placed people at Wizards of the Coast.
Right.
And my big thing was, okay, this is where we are right now. If the cards would have been bannable, we would have banned them.
Right. And
Aaron Forsyth said, look, you guys are going to do what you do, and we support it. Right. And one of the directors that I talked to basically said the same thing. It's like, if you feel the need to ban these, go ahead.
Right.
As we explained in our announcement, we didn't. And the idea that us banning them provides the community with some kind of protection just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Right. The whole send a signal argument, it isn't really going to do much because they're still going to sell and distribute them. What I want to happen, and what I mentioned to the people that I talked to, perhaps in coarse language, in fact, was making sure this thing didn't happen again.
Right.
This kind of thing, the thing that would, set a torch to the fuse of the community,
right,
and explode.
Right.
And I think we might have good inroads in making it happen. And the main reason we didn't ban them was so that we could continue to have the conversation going forward.
Right.
That we have a productive and positive relationship with them, because I don't want them to go, well, we can do what we want, and if it's sloppy, the RC will just ban it.
Right. That is a danger that comes out of the game theory iterations which again, I'm not criticizing what the rules committee did. To me, this conversation happened just fine in my head. If it was just you and me, right? I know there were several other people involved,
right?
But if the community were just you and me, we'd be fine, because I said, Josh, I'm really worried about this. This really reeks. This is really awful. There's got to be some way to do this. I didn't do what I normally do, which is to think about it like super professionally and give you like a 10-point plan on how to maybe approach it. I don't think I ever need to. I trust that you and the rules committee, kind of figured out where the incentives were and where things were and how to have it. And I knew there would be conversations that I couldn't witness, didn't have information on. The one thing that disturbs me a little bit is that, if they can't, they managed to get their product out to other countries. They get other product out to other countries.
Right.
And in this case, they said, well, we can't get this product with the way we want to distribute it and the way we want to do the thing. We can't do the thing with the other countries. Right. So that then they have to make a decision about how then to approach that. I get it. Other countries have dumb trade laws. U.S. has dumb trade laws. We all have dumb trade laws. So there's all kinds of barriers that countries and governments put up in front of private corporations. Those corporations still have to make judgment calls, and their judgment call was, well, okay, just America then in Europe, or whatever the distribution model is, and that's still a decision that they have to make and take responsibility for. So I get that it is better than, and maybe the idea is, if we show this thing is there and there's a groundswell of support in Brazil to change the trade laws, maybe we've done some good, or we can go at this all day, but I do think that at some point they understood the laws, they understood the things. They didn't make this product assuming they could bring it out to the whole world and then get stopped at the border. Oh my gosh, we can't get this through. They made a business decision, and so that's okay, and that's their right, and it's their company. And then I think that the outrage that I identified with, even though I am a U.S. citizen living comfortably in the U.S., had access to it, chose not to take advantage of it. I can sympathize and empathize with those markets that were excluded in this. And I think it's a bad pattern to set. And I do encourage us to consider that factor again in the future. I actually do think they're going to do this to you again. I do. It's not because they're evil. It's not because I certainly don't think Aaron Forsyth's going to do this again. I think powers beyond him are going to test this fence again. They're like the velociraptors in Jurassic Park, systematically testing the fences, right? And they're going to keep doing this. And it bothers me to see the behavior, in my opinion, getting worse, not better. Do I think you have an impact? Yes. I think if anything can have an impact, is the kind of conversations you had with them. So we'll see, right? That's all we can do is we can see.
Well, I mean, a lot of the people in the community felt the way you did, and of course that exploded more once we got to the decision to not ban them.
Right.
But you and I are here to discuss how do we move forward.
Right.
There definitely was a wedge here, and is a wedge here, and some people expressed a lack of confidence then in the RC and in Wizards, and other people were like, well, this is Wizards' mess, not the RC's to clean up. And I would be very careful again about letting them do things just to have us as the convenient punching bag for when we don't take action.
Yes.
Right. I think one of the best things for them is the RC being an independent body, so that they will deflect some of the attention from negative decisions. Right. And
and I hope they don't abuse that.
Well, me and you.
I know. So they got real human beings in both places, and let's treat each other that way.
Right, but I mean, we can disagree about things.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Individuals can like or dislike a decision that that WotC makes or the RC makes.
Yeah.
Why do we need to let this divide us? Right? Why are we letting a wedge come in here as opposed to well, I respect your stance, but I disagree. Yeah. What happened to respectful disagreement?
Right. Well, the internet, but it wasn't just the internet. I mean, the part of it is there's just testosterone. I mean, this whole the standard cocktail of crap, right? The testosterone-led community, the internet, and the anonymity, the fact that a large proportion of the community isn't as mature as we may let ourselves on to be. The fact, the sense of ownership about a format. I mean, it's the format that you create. We just, we can make all kinds of powerful videos about the impact that the key players have made in it. But the beauty of it is that, and the torture is that we have all become to own a piece of it, right? So we feel like a thing of ours is being tainted whenever something like this happens. And we all get to individually, the decentralization of information, everything has happened. We all get to decide now what we own. It's not like what it would have been maybe in the 1950s or 60s or 70s when a game came out and it was obviously the producer's game. I mean, this decentralized model of how people interact and communicate and game means that I own a piece. My decks are mine, and it's the game that I play with my group that you never see. Wizards never sees it. Wizards never has to interact with it. So it just creates the sense of ownership that is both great and also very personal, and so here comes The Walking Dead into it. And I'll try to represent, with apologies to those who feel more strongly about it than I do, I'll try to represent the idea of the you put chocolate in my peanut butter kind of thing with The Walking Dead into the Magic universe, and the idea of eroding the integrity of the fantasy world. I do recall for at least 2, 3, 4 years, they may still do these surveys. I haven't noticed them for a while, but they used to do these surveys where they would ask like 1 billion questions about whether you agree, disagree on what you get out of the game. I enjoy strategy. I enjoy bluffing people. I enjoy pretending I'm a wizard. And I wonder to what extent this information that they've painstakingly collected over years has told them about people's willingness to say, I don't care if I immerse myself in the game that much. Whatever the game is, whatever the math is, that's what I'm in it for. And maybe that's what they're like, they won't care. Make it Walking Dead, make it dinosaurs, with rocket missiles, make it, Star Wars. Who cares? Nobody will. And maybe that's what the expressed preference market research they've done tells them. Revealed preferences might be a different thing. So how do we heal? I think we heal in part, to get back to your initial question, we heal in part by deciding we either mean what we say or we're just BSing on Twitter. Like we either say as a community, if you're really upset with something that Wizards has done, to the game that you play and purchase less of it. I'm not advocating that necessarily. I do happen to have scaled back some of my purchases of some of Wizards products that I feel are not meeting my values. I have increased in other aspects, ways that do reflect my values, and I'm trying to send a signal. And if other people do this in enough quantities, enough people agree with me or agree with themselves or in a certain way, that's how we will heal. We will create and shape the game, because Wizards will have no choice but to reflect the market. We've had articles on this since the dawn of time. There are some really good ones that were just released in the last couple of months in response to this issue. We're going to keep writing, I'm sure, many of us, about this, and when people are serious about it, we'll see some market change.
To jump backward just a second.
Yeah, I covered a lot there. Thanks.
Do you think that us banning the cards would have sent a signal that would have been heard?
I think that it would have. I'm not convinced that my way was better. Just to be super clear, I offered my feedback with due humility, right? So I think that if seeing what I'm seeing now, I think that if you had banned the cards, what it would have done is comparable to what we're seeing now. And I think that Wizards, as they sit in their ivory tower, quote unquote, and they think through products, probably would be saying, okay, what's going to happen? Is the RC going to ban this one too? It's a different kind of conversation. It does send an initial shot. I think it's within the range of acceptable outcomes what would have happened. I don't know that it would have. I think daring, it does risk a spiral. Wizards puts their foot over the line. You smack their foot. And then they go, well, we got a pretty big foot. So now we're going to put it over here across the line.
Right.
Hit me over here, and now it starts to sound more confrontational, right? So I think that given the access level that you have, and given the kinds of conversations and some of the people on the creative side that we do know and trust within Wizards, I think that there is probably a way that's going to be longer term. The impatient internet isn't going to love it, but I think those of us who kind of see the deliberate nature of the conversation would say that this outcome is probably preferable to what would have happened had you just straight out banned the cards. You also would have had to probably reverse if they did release versions of the cards under a different name, as Mark hinted they might be doing in the future. That would have been embarrassing.
Well, there are people who said that we should ban them until WotC makes functional reprints.
Yeah, I mean, and then this sort of, I mean, and again, I'm arguing with myself a little bit because, and again, I'm the first to admit that I don't necessarily see all angles in the moment, and I wrote my email within 24 hours, or my email to within 24 hours of seeing it. I think I would have written roughly the same email another 24 hours later, but I might have changed it a bit. But my normal mode here is to think, okay, so you do this thing where you pretend you're the parent of WotC, and you say, okay, until you eat your vegetables, no dessert. And then Wizards goes, okay, Mom, here's the version. What are they going to do? Accelerate the product that would have come out in? I mean, that's not going to, they're not, their production schedule is 18 months ahead. Whatever mistake they've already made in the wake of this, by the way, is coming in 6 months. They've already made the mistake. So we're going to see it again, and we're all going to react like, oh, look, the RC did this thing and it didn't work, and Sheldon sucks and he's in the pocket of whatever. And, so the time delay, the time lag here is not helping matters. And my hope is that Wizards has whatever mistakes they have made that are coming out and, around Christmas or New Year's, that they are able to adjust them or market them or couch them or spin them. In a way that is less confrontational than what they have set up now. This is the core. This is what there's only a few things that can really screw up the Commander community, and Wizards found one. So we're going to learn a lot about Wizards and what they want in their community, in their most popular format community. We're going to learn a lot about them in the next 6 to 12 months. I don't know that we're going to learn a lot about them in the next 3 to 6 months, but we're going to learn a lot about them in the next 6 to 12 months. That's what I'm going to be watching what they do. And we're going to get...
I agree with you wholeheartedly on that.
And the B block will talk... I'm going to actually bring this up a tiny bit. I'll do a quick callback in the B... Because I think Commander Legends is a great... Commander Legends would be a wonderful response if it were deliberate on their part to what they've done so far. They're ending 2020, I think. Well, so how does the community heal? Well, the good news is there are some products that as a whole, taken as a whole, there's some individual cards, as there always are, but taken as a whole, this product that they've just released, Commander Legends, looks wonderful. And so I think that's going to help people do things with the format that are going to move it to the next stage and make products, I think, frankly, like Secret Lair, less relevant.
So what do you do? Let's bring it more to an individual level. What do you do if you have a friend, whether that's a in your local playgroup friend or a relatively close virtual friend that really went off the reservation over this, that engaged in disproportionate response,
right, to
the whole thing? How do you bring them back? What do you? Right. What's your strategy for sort of bringing them back into the fold?
Yeah. So if I see somebody that's just spinning off at Wizards, I'll keep talking to them. If I see somebody spin off on you, it's a different matter. I saw some reaction to this that so I see a different sort of spin off here. I'll take the less personal one to start, but if I see somebody that was just like, oh, Wizard sucks, I'll try to do the old white guy thing and try to provide some perspective and history and say, look, I've been playing the game for 20 plus years, and I've seen a lot of times where people have gotten upset at Wizards, and if you're that upset, I don't want to, I don't want you to feel like your feelings aren't valid, but I gotta ask yourself, are you still paying for the product? Are you still buying it? Because you've got an expressed preference. I'm hearing really strongly. The revealed preference is a different matter. And I hope you stay in the game. I hope that you stick with me. I got upset too. And, we have to decide at some point, there are things that I don't buy now because of things that Wizards has done. So I get it. If you don't want to buy any more Secret Lairs, don't buy any more Secret Lairs. That's all good. And if you want to scale back other purchases of other things, and then I'll say, maybe we're sitting in a local game store if the pandemic is over any day, someday in the future. And, if we're sitting in that store, I say, we've got this store around us right now. What do you want to do about that? What do you want to do about the other stuff that we engage in? Are we just playing Dungeons and Dragons now? Are we just playing Warhammer? What are we doing with the community? Because that's the important thing. Magic is a vehicle. If you want to change cars, find enough people and change cars, but you've got what you've got, and so I kind of talk them through. Start there in that broad sense of it's okay, and then not judge them on whatever. Like if somebody gets up and hopefully doesn't flip the table, but if somebody gets up and goes, well, you know what, you're right. I've thought about this now. I'm done with the game. Okay, and that's if this was the thing that puts you over the edge, I'm not. One of my favorite expressions is I'm not going to yuck your yum. I'm not going to yuck your yuck either. I mean, like if that's something that you feel strongly enough about, then good for you. You've got whatever morals and principle codes. You're not hurting anybody else.
Well, if they threaten to sell their collection, tell them that you'll take it off their hands for the time being.
Right.
And then in 60 days, if they actually want to sell their collection, then you'll give it back to them.
I will keep it in escrow.
Right, for you. Hey, speaking of Dungeons and Dragons, this is definitely a sidebar.
Yeah.
So you know Rachel Weeks and Dan Sheehan from the Commander Sphere podcast.
Sure.
The preeminent Commander comedy podcast.
Preeminent, yes.
Preeminent. So they invited Dan and Rachel and their friend, Canadian comedian Mike Carrazza.
Okay.
Have invited me to play in a limited series D&D adventure with them.
Oh, that's a snap yes, right? You're doing it.
Yeah, it was absolutely a snap yes.
Outstanding.
So Dan's like, I had this mini series that I've had in mind. You want to join Rachel and Mike and me? And
nice.
I'm like, yeah. I mean, Rachel, I have to be honest. Rachel is one of my
favorite
new Magic acquaintances of the last year.
I've had the chance now in the EDH Boxing League that you started up with Scott and Brian and yes, and thanks for inviting me again, and thanks for inviting her, and thanks for inviting all the other people. I've had some wonderful games playing with them, and the games with her have just been awesome, hilarious. Not because she's on or trying to be comedic, but because she's just genuinely funny, and it's just nice to. I mean, she started with this kind of big dumb red-green deck, and then she got other cards, and she's like, I could have made it something else, but I said I just really like the big green. I mean, it was perfect, and it was a better deck than she was selling it, of course, but it was still very straightforward in what it did, and well constructed and really neat, and it was just I just enjoyed the games that I played with her. I lost one horribly. I won a different one. Like, it didn't matter what the outcome was. I had fun, and I hope she did too. And so I get it completely. I get why it would be great. And I think any chance you could get, like, this goes beyond the game, right? Like, whatever the game is, sure, whatever it is, terraforming Mars or Scythe or whatever. Yeah, sure, Dungeons and Dragons. Let's do it.
Well, she plays in a Monday night game called Better Than Heroes, I think.
Yeah.
That is streamed.
Yeah.
And it's 5th edition D&D set in a Spelljammer setting. And so it's a bunch of comedians. So you can imagine how much hilarity ensues when they get into the game. So I'm looking forward to that episode. We will record episodes in November, and they'll be broadcast on Mondays in December. So look more for that.
And that gets right to, like, you called it a digression, but honestly, Sheldon, one of the ways that we heal is we realize that magic is not the entire universe. Like there are other things that we do to pull together. And I think, especially in a pandemic where you sort of feel trapped, it's important to find other things beyond your normal routines that help you remember that, we contain multitudes. You and I, we're in the magic community. We have a part of us that is about magic. There are people who watch this video who've asked me about, hey, I heard you do a video thing. I'm like, yes, this is a nerd thing. Don't, you won't get it. Don't. I'm like, no, send me the link. I'm going to watch it. I'm like, you won't. Like, okay, I guess, sure.
I'm going to nerd with you.
Right. And then they get back in touch and they're like, wow, it was a great video. I didn't understand like 2/3 of it, but I thought that was really great what you said about it. Like, okay, good. I'm glad I brought out another dimension that you could relate to. And I think that's my point, which is like we heal by realizing that it isn't just about, this is not a life or death, sort of conflict that needs to have international implications. This is just this is gaming. This is important to us. I'm not demeaning people who feel it's important. Again, I don't want to yuck the yuck. If an individual is too much for an individual because they attach that much value to it, okay. And I do recommend the community that one way to heal yourselves individually is to find those things that you probably are already also good at, and just emphasize those two. Just bring those, elevate those things. You don't have to de-elevate the magic part if you don't want to. You can elevate the other parts, and you'll feel more whole because you are.
Absolutely. And that sounds like a good transition point after we pause for the pause that refreshes.
You bet. The pause that refreshes. The Beyond Magic moment. We are testing out a sort of a new interlude here to more explicitly go beyond Magic the Gathering. This is our Beyond Magic moment welcome, if you will. And what we're going to be doing here is a brief exploration, something beyond the game, one of those intersections of life and nerd culture that Sheldon keeps bringing up at the beginning of the show and never delivers on.
So this episode, we want to mention the trailer for the upcoming Dune film. It's freely available on YouTube, and this is not your David Lynch remake.
No, it's not. I want to say I don't want to slam it too hard, but I don't know. Maybe I do want to slam it hard. But anyway, this film's cast is absurd. Timothy Chalamet as Paul, Rebecca Ferguson as Jessica, Zendaya as Chani, Jason Momoa as Duncan Idaho, Momoa, sorry, excuse me.
Yeah.
Momoa as Duncan Idaho. I should know better. Josh Brolin as Gurney Halleck. Then they up the ante. We got Charlotte Rampling as the Reverend Mother, Stellan Skarsgård as Baron Harkonnen, and Xavier Bardem as Stilgar. I mean, Xavier Bardem would be sufficient. Like that last name alone would be like, wow, they got star power in this film, right? Right. You just look at it and you go, oh, okay, somebody got serious, really serious.
Yeah, this cast is stupid.
Yeah.
We got... Now, I would point to you the fact that Josh Brolin and Javier Bardem have starred in one of the great films of all time together.
That was so good.
Which is No Country for Old Men.
That was so good. Oh my God.
So...
that was such a good...
I expect some biblend. The characters in the book, which I'm coincidentally rereading right now. Yeah, just so happened.
Yeah.
Gurney and Stilgar don't have too much interaction, but this cast is so stupid. The trailer looks like again, Lynch made his film in 1984, and the special effects aren't what we have in the 21st century.
It would have been forgivable if it had been a better film. It would have been fine.
It would have been And I'm a David Lynch fan.
Yeah.
And he swung and missed.
Yeah. That is, I like the way I like to say about the first film is I appreciated the effort that I saw.
Sure.
Right? Like it was like, okay, you know what? Dune's hard. Dune is hard. Yeah. But incidentally, I'm going off of a 30-year-old memory of the book. My daughter just read it for the first time. Really liked it. And then gave it to my wife, who normally doesn't. I mean, who never read it. Reading it for the first time and just reading it is the exact impressions I thought she would have had off my memory, which is the first 3 chapters border to tears. She's like, okay, stop telling me what's going to happen, and can we just get to the thing that happens? But then now she's into it. She's like, okay, now I kind of do see it. And so once she's done with it, I'll reread it. For the first time in probably 30 years, I've some of the character names I'm like, right, that character, yeah. So I think I'm gonna enjoy rereading it when it comes time. The later novels,
and the shout out Mapes.
Yeah, the later novels I remember getting bored around Dune reimagined.
Read the first one and stop.
Yeah, read the first.
Absolutely.
I didn't like the subsequent ones, but the first one I remember being really into it, and it was that and Isaac Asimov's Foundation series. I remember reading a ton of, and Lord of the Rings, of course. But that was those 3 were like the core of the nerd culture. So here we are in this great remake ability, and that last shot, and you knew it was coming. Like you're like, what? Yeah. I remember watching the preview and saying, why am I not seeing any sandworms? I'm like, because you're not going to see it until the end. They're going to show you at the end. And sure enough, here comes the thing. And it was, please let the movie be 1/8 as good as the trailer and the cast.
Yeah.
Please.
Well, I've already put Wizards of the Coast on notice that if they want to negotiate with the Herbert estate for the rights to the IP, I would be happy to work on the Dune.
This is not how we heal the community. What the hell is wrong with you? All right. So if you haven't yet read the book, we highly recommend it. I'll read it alongside anybody who maybe we'll do a little story time. Sheldon, that's what we could do in these Beyond Magic moments is I could read you a little bedtime story.
Oh, that'd be nice.
But we do recommend reading Dune, especially in preparation for what's going to be, we hope, it looks like a very thrilling film. And that is this week's Beyond Magic moment.
Into the B block, Commander Legends previews. Now, as Anthony and I record this, we've just wrapped the first week of Commander Legends previews. Anthony, what's your initial take?
I like it. It's good. It's positive. I'm gonna have a bigger thought by the end of this B block. I'll have a bigger thought about what I think this means for Commander community. I think it's positive, overwhelmingly positive. But I think it's gonna be a herald of a big change. But the set itself, just to start there, I'm really enjoying 99% of the cards that I've seen so far. Even the reprint common stuff or I just. Good for you guys for putting it together. I put together a Commander cube back off the Commander product of 2016, all the first partners, right? And I have I've actually bought 2 sets of those. So I could take one of those sets and turn it into a cube. So every commander from that is in the cube, and then I adjusted some of the stuff around it. And I loved it, and I loved that whole thing. I did a quick little series on it on Star City Games. first articles I'd written in a long time because I was so excited about what it meant and being able to figure out cards and put stuff in. And I love seeing wizards, who obviously can do it better than I can. I love seeing their take on it and how they would do it and what kinds of themes and how they merge those themes together and make a card work with multiple different instances of partners. I've already started thinking the monocolored uncommon partners themselves are just terrific.
Yep.
And they're not powerful. Like, these are the commanders. These are the kinds of legends I want to build with. I don't want to build with the super linear ones that tell you exactly what to do, that look like they're made for the commander. And there's a couple of them in the set, but that look like they're like, hey kids, you like Commander? You'll like this Commander. Like, I don't know, stop. Don't tell me to do that. Don't. Right. And I get it. Other people in the community, so I'm good with that. And overall,
when you did your cube,
yeah.
How did you draft commanders? Did you draft commanders separately, or were they just in the boosters?
I did a seeded pack. First set of packs were all the commanders, so that you would know by the first pack, you'd be like, well, everything in the pack was a commander, so you know what your legends are, what your options are, and now the rest of the packs are there. I get I like their way of doing it better. That was like the first set. Commander 2016 was the first time where there were starting to be enough commanders where you could kind of just brute force your way through. Like, you'll just find a legend, you'll be fine. And now you could do a cube. I'm tempted to try it. A cube that has almost nothing but, legends. You could do it. So their solution is great. The size of the packs, the ways that you would do it, I think are better and more elegant than what I was able to do. But I like their solution a lot.
So when we first heard about the partner mechanic way back when, it happened to be Scott and Toby were at the house.
Oh yeah.
In our previous house here in Florida, visiting, and Scott said, "Hey, R&D wants to give us a call." And then they told us about the partner mechanic. Scott had already known about it.
Oh, sure.
But this was the first, they were revealing it to the rest of us.
Yeah.
And our caution right then and there about the partner mechanic was be careful.
Yeah.
This is a sweet idea.
Yep.
But make sure individual partners aren't too powerful.
Right.
How do you think they've done here so far in Commander Legends?
This seems fine. The artifact, or Rebecca or whatever, I can't remember the exact. The artifact one looks the most problematic. It doesn't look bad. It doesn't, in a sense of like being overpowered. But I think a lot of players are going to go there and going to be like, splash white into this, and I think that's probably fine. I also think the partner. There's a couple that partner with a couple of the partners that I don't want to go on video saying that I think it's going to be problematic yet. I don't know enough. I want to show some humility and say, I think there's 2 or 3 that probably push it. And isn't that the right number? Like, I think it's supposed to be some that probably do push it. There's supposed to be a curve of sorts. I buy that idea. And I think there are others where I'm like, I might not even play with it, but I really appreciate that they printed that. Like, I really think that there are people who are going to love doing that thing. And then there's like the flavor wins, like Hans. I mean, like, what a great card. And like, I don't know if I'm ever going to build a partner deck with him, at least a constructed one. I'm sure it'll happen in the course of a draft, almost certainly. But I'm like, I got to get him in a deck. Like, I have to do something. Like, that's the stuff. It's not about, sometimes the Commander format isn't about the Commander. It's about the 99. And what I sort of feel like what they did, Gavin and the others there who did this, was like, they get that. Like, they get that it's about the 99. And about, obviously the interactions with friends, but the mechanical part of the game. Yeah. To me, the format is about the 99. It's not about the Commander so much. I wish you could rename the format the 99 almost. It really, and this is a great celebration of the 99. So I'm very enthusiastic. And each new release, uncommon, common, not just the splashy rares, I'm liking it a lot.
So from what we've seen so far, what's the Commander pair that you absolutely want to build around? And you can't choose any of the reprints. We've seen Cadell, Chosen of Crufix, Ikra Shadiki, and a few more as as reprints. What about of the new ones? What's the pair that you're going to build?
So I have to put my glasses on and look at these, because what I don't want to do is I want to get the names right, and that requires a little bit. I'm horribly vain. I'm sorry, but I do see it, and I had it scrolled at one point, and I need to find it again. But I do want to. Here's what I want to do. I want to try to find the red kobold is what I'm scrolling for. Sorry.
Okay.
I want
Rograk,
the son of Roga. I want to try that, and I don't know yet. I just know that I want to start with him, and I don't want to do something that's. I don't want to do something that's non-interactive. I don't want to do something. I just want to play it straight. So he does like.
What about the
4 or 5 days at a time? Yeah. Yes.
With the white one that you can equip.
Yeah,
you can auto equip.
Yeah, the auto equip.
Right. Arrows and enchantments to.
And I don't want to do all 21 at once. Let me tell you, I also like the lizard, by the way, that deals damage to everybody else as the same guy that deals with damage to the opponent. Now it's not. I get the rest of the damage is not commander damage that goes
right.
The collateral.
It's basically the Saskia ability.
But yeah, it's really good stuff.
Yeah.
So Rograk, what I like about him, what I want to do with him is I don't want to do like all 21 in a I don't want to do it that way. I want to do it like he's just a kobold. He's he's a small, hardworking guy, and I just want to I don't want to make it painful either. Like 4 to 6 damage a shot, right? Like I just want him to be in there and get in there and dig. So I need to build the deck that will do that, and I think that it's him. And yeah, I think it's a red-white deck. I think red-white. I want to build some new red-white decks anyway. I'm looking for that. I'm also looking for. I haven't found it yet. The partner that gets me back into Jeskai, feeling like Jeskai has something new. I still am not feeling that. Of all the 10 3-color combinations that you can have, I feel like that's still being underserved. But we haven't seen all the spoilers yet, and I'm also not 100% positive of that. I need to look at all. I need to really look at the set as we record this. It's still coming out. So,
right, we're halfway through the previews. So by the time you watch this, you'll have seen already the second week.
You'll wonder why Anthony didn't mention X Commander, and I'll be like, I didn't see it.
Well, in Sultai you have the turtle.
Yeah. I really like that turtle Sultai. Now, of course, that's not a partner commander, but here they go again with another great Sultai commander, a whole new look.
Yep.
Doesn't involve the graveyard. It's like, thank you. Nice job.
Yeah.
I like that one. How about you?
I've already built a Malcolm and Casket deck based around the cards that I was involved in previewing, both individually and as a member of the RC. Mm-hmm. When I got the previews, they all happened to be mono blue.
Okay.
Like the RC got 4 and I got 4, and they were all mono blue. I'm like, well, hell, there's I should be able to build a deck around this.
Right.
And Malcolm certainly pairs with Breaches, the Goblin Pirate.
Yep.
As the obvious pairing.
Which is a great name, by the way. Breaches the Pirate.
Breaches,
like yeah. It's cute.
So I paired Malcolm with Casket to do that, and my article last week was about it.
Yep.
So you should check that out. With the shackles off, I would pair Kodama of the East Tree with a package of cashews past its expiration date. Right, that card is so insane.
This is one of the ones that's like they're pushing it.
Maybe a little.
Yeah. I think there's going to be some interactions that will be interesting to see how tables react.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Is that card better as a partner commander or as one of the 99?
I mean, I think that usually the difference between the value of a 99 and a commander is what the table sees coming, in my mind. Mm-hmm. So you put that in your command zone. And what you're doing when you see, at least with me, is like whenever another permanent enters the battlefield deck. All right.
Yeah.
Sorry, I slipped out. So then it starts. It's like seeing Rune. It's that same sort of thing where it's like, oh, okay, I see what's going to happen. But honestly, nowadays, if it's in the command zone, if it's all green in the command zone, I'm kind of interested to see what you do with it. If it's green, blue, if you're partnering with the blue commander, then I'm like, I don't know.
Oh, Cynic never gets any good cards.
Yeah, I know. Hey, how about that? So there's that great Salamander commander, which somebody, I'm going to forget who, because one day they were like, yay, you know, they gave green blue a really cool thing that doesn't involve Chaka. And then the next day they did like the second Tatiova.
Right.
And they were like, "Aw." That's one of the. It was one of those small feel bads of the set. It's like, you know, come on, we're done. We're good. We have enough things. It was uncommon the first time. We have enough. We're good. The community is well served by when you do the thing, do the thing. Cards, but
for realsies, I'd actually go with Sidar Kondo of Jirmora and Kedis Emberclaw Familiar, which is the one you were mentioning earlier.
Oh, sure.
I put together a nice Naya deck that leverages the loser's ability to damage all opponents, and then, you know, some of the things we've seen so far that benefit you when multiple opponents get damaged.
Good, honest use of coming into play repeatedly as Naya. That's doing it right.
Yes.
That's just good, wholesome fun. The
other big mechanic that's back here in this set is the Monarch.
The Monarch is one of the returning ones. And then the new one Encore too. But let's talk about Monarch. I love the return of Monarch. I thought that was a big hit when they did the conspiracy set and they brought up the Monarch. The Monarch. I thought that's one of the long-term wins that Wizards has had in serving the Commander community and the multiplayer variants, you know, more generally. But I love that dynamic. It's a good all the big. There's some good. I think a couple cards in each. They tend to be fairly splashy. They tend to be on the rare cycle. It looks like there's a couple of like uncommons and commons I've also seen sprinkled so far. But I love the return of that. You know, if this happens, you know, you become the Monarch when it comes into play, and then every turn something happens. If you're the Monarch, something bigger happens. It's a nice deal, and it gets people more interested in the monarchy than they like. I don't want to attack this person because I just get a card out of it, and then I just get beamed over the head for 10 damage. Right. Now it's different. Well, now there's the difference between, you know, like a soldier token or an angel token, or like putting a land in play or putting anything I want to play. Like, there's all these different things that you have to balance. I like that. That's a nice evolution.
Well, yeah, I think that the Monarch, I think, is a great communal mechanic for the game. Yeah. Right. It brings the focus of the game into the whole, as opposed to people maybe focusing on what they themselves are doing.
Right.
So it opens up. It's, well, okay, you know, Anthony played the Monarch card and got the Monarch the first time. Now I'm going to attack him, but if I do that, I'm open to Toby attacking me.
Right.
So, you know, so then you really have to think about it. I'm a fan of the Monarch as a mechanic. I think it does good things to the game. It keeps games moving.
Agreed.
You know, it's not just sit back and wait for your combo kind of thing.
Right.
But I think you have to play it very carefully. That you can't just blah, I'm the Monarch.
Go out there and go the Monarch.
You have to do something.
Yeah, you can't.
I do think that the Archon of Coronation is extremely spicy.
It is.
It's a 6 mana. That's 4 and 2 white. 5/5 flyer. Yep. When it ETBs, you become the Monarch. And as long as you're the Monarch, damage doesn't cause you to lose life.
Yeah. Like you get hit, and it still changes the monarchy, of course, if you get hit by a creature.
Right.
But like that alpha, like you can't get alpha stricken. Like for that moment. It's really nice to see that. Just to go back to what you were saying earlier about the monarchy, what I love about it is that you cannot seize the monarchy from somebody else by tutoring endlessly in your deck or by taking extra turns. Like you have to actually get out there. And so and what I love about that card that you just mentioned, the Archon, is that it encourages you. It creates that beautiful safe zone where you're like, I know people are going to come after me and they might take the monarchy, but I also know I'm not losing the combat damage next turn. So that's kind of cool to know that.
Yeah, the thing is, you have to pay attention because this thing is open to getting cloned and borrowed and stolen and whatnot. Yeah. And then suddenly we have a situation where nobody can lose any life.
What do you make of the Steal the Search card? I'm going to forget the black creature that flashes in and And
opposition agent.
Yeah, so that's caused not exactly Walking Dead levels of discontent in the game, but I definitely a couple tables flipped over, so to speak, out there. What do you make of it?
I think that it's a good card to rein in some of the things that people over rely on in the format, and searching your library is one of them. It's a 100-card singleton format for a reason, and that reason is we want the variance in our games. And over reliance on tutoring is too much. It sort of takes away some of the magic of the format, and punishing people for doing too much of a thing is just fine by me. I think that's reasonable protection. I think that my anathemancers have a lot of notches on their belt, and I think that's perfectly reasonable.
Okay.
The thing is, if you're worried about opposition agent wrecking your entire game plan,
right,
then you're over relying on on tutoring and searching. So every time opposition agent gets played, someone is going to get blown out. But once it's on the battlefield,
right,
you're not forced to search your library. Now, of course, there are other cards that will combo with it. Like, people have pointed out, Marilyn of the Morning Song just locks everybody out of the game.
True of any card has.
Sure, but if that hits, if that hits the battlefield, if the combo hits the battlefield, game's over. Good. Shuffle up and move on.
Right. Yeah. I agree.
I don't see that being the thing. I think people are also overly worried about cracking a fetch land early and getting blown out with opposition agent, and I think that is a sort of a vapor concern. In Legacy, that's going to happen. At a CDH table, that's going to happen. But quite honestly, I think people are going to save their opposition agents for when it's slightly more important than that.
I would have I'll admit that I would have liked the card more. I don't think I agree. It's not devastating or anything like that. When I saw it, I was like, oh, how's that going to work online? And the answer is badly. Can we just give at least you don't have to agree, but I would just recommend anybody I'm playing a game with online, try to avoid this card. I mean, if you want to do it once to be cute or whatever, and just say, hey, just go find yourself, a simple thing. I'll look at it and whatever. But if you're going to make somebody actually, look, show me your deck on like that, that's not good. I'm going to call that out of bounds with my unofficial voice here. In any game I'm playing, that's out of bounds. If you're trying to do it to wreck somebody, I would have liked it more if it had been more of a rattlesnake thing. The fact that it has flash, I get why it has flash, because it has to for the competitive EDH reasons. It's got to get in there and stop a thing. For the flavor, I would have liked it. I have a whole deck built on the Mind Lock Orb basis, which forces people to no, we're not tutoring, just play the game. That's all. And literally, it's a 4-color deck with 2 partners from 2016, 2 random partners I had put together into the non-green, and all it does is it has flyers that beat you over the head, and it tells you can't search your library. Go, stop it with the searching of the library, and that's the deck. and it's Chaos Warp is surprisingly effective, but also there's other things like Oblation and other things that are cute, like you shuffle it in but you can't ever get it back, blah blah blah. So I get that, and I wish that this were a card that fit that deck better, because it would send the signal, please just play the game. Instead, what it does is it does that it's going to come across, it's going to get used in some ways that I just think are a little filthy. It's fine in the set. If every card were like this, I'd be more upset, but I'm not.
I think it is a slightly pushed at 3 mana. 4 would have I would have been happier with 4. Like I would have felt like it was safer at 4. Right. I don't think it's a threat to the format. It's certainly not getting emergency banned, because that's not what we do.
Right.
And Lutri, it was an obvious exception.
Right.
But the real thing is that this is a card that I think that we will evaluate its impact on the format. But I think that at the battle cruiser tables, especially, I think this is a fine card. It's gonna send up a signal that you can't, that you have to think about every time you want to search your deck.
That's what I like about it. The other card that created a little bit of controversy, I think people have calmed down a little bit about it, is Jeweled Lotus, although the price is probably still too high on it.
You know,
it's going to be fine, isn't it?
I'm not a fan. Yeah. I'm going to tell you, I'm not a fan of Jeweled Lotus, and not necessarily for what the card does,
right?
But for what the card does to the format.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer that faster is not better.
Right.
And the only thing that this can do is make things faster. But the second level impact is now people are going to feel forced to either, one, compete in the arms race, or two, pack even cheaper spot removal.
Right.
So they're gonna again reduce the curve of their deck, making the format faster. And making the format faster is not a good idea. I saw this card. I saw this card a while back. I expressed my opinions that I didn't think that it had anywhere good to go for the format. Right. Now, that said, that doesn't mean we're going to ban it.
No.
We're certainly not emergency banning it.
Right.
But we're going to keep an eye on it. But because I don't like it doesn't mean we're going to ban it.
I get it.
The reason that we ban things is that they're unhealthy for the format.
Right. I assume you love Sylvan Primordial. I mean...
Yes.
Right. We all love that guy. There's personal feelings in this guy you do. So, but then there's so that's enough about cards. Can I take a moment and just talk about, I'm kind of geeking out. What really made me sit up and take notice is a card that probably isn't that super powerful, but just felt like a lovely old school return for me, which is Urlock of the Scorch Thrash. That's the Jund commander that essentially reintroduces mana burn. I nerded out about that, and I know that most people who've been playing Magic for not as long, they've heard about mana burn. This is not a total surprise to them or anything like that, but it's a nice little throwback without being exclusionary to other newer players, and just telling older players, hey, we see you. You've got some old combos and stuff. You want to take those back out and do the thing. You could do the thing, and I'm going to probably try to find a moment to build a deck around him. Do you have any that are non-partnerish, like good old Urlock that you're thinking of using?
Well, I think Averna, the Chaos Bloom, gets my motor running a little bit. As you cascade, you can put a land card from the exiled cards onto the battlefield tapped. And it's a 4/2 for 3 in the color combination teamer that I have a problem with already. Right. So that's the kind of card that I would build around. Unfortunately, it's the build is a little obvious. That's inherently problematic here. Right. I don't think that I can find a build for this that I wouldn't, there's no outside the box build here. You have to have cascade spells in order to make this.
I hear there's a spell with 4 cascades in it. That's in this right. Do you think that will go in the deck, Sheldon?
Maybe. I'm playing that in a deck that also has Maelstrom Wanderer in it. Yeah. So I can just cascade into the Maelstrom Wanderer.
I'm thinking of
all right, last question, and I think we've hit on this a little bit. From what you've seen so far, one weekend, do you think the impact on the community Commander Legend positive, negative, or neutral?
Positive and massively transformative. I think the future of Commander is in limited. I've mentioned this prior, but is in limited, more sealed and drafty style things. That's where I think the heart of the format is going to start to move soon, and I think that constructed Commander is certainly going to last a decade or decades long. I'm not suggesting it's dead at all. What I'm suggesting, where the heart of it, where I think people are really going to love it, where there's so much more, frankly, I think there's, for Wizards, more money to be made. And it also can smooth out a lot of this card is broken, this card is, all the things that people worry about with the format. A lot of that can get neutralized with limited style format. So things like this, products like this, that give people, reintroduce the idea of chance, and measured risk, and you don't get everything you want. You can't build the optimal build unless you're sitting at a CEH table. And I do see in the future, again, I'm talking about years, not tomorrow, a gradual, and I mean this in a very, very friendly way, a gradual divergence of paths in the same sense that people who play Magic become limited, they have preferences for limited or constructed. And I do think that this will be the start. We're going to look back at this set as being probably a key moment, a key milestone in how Commander evolves. It's a topic worth exploring in more detail in the future, but very positive feeling about the set and also transformative.
Absolutely. Well, Anthony, there's plenty of work to be done in the Commander community, but for now, it's time to wrap this episode. Before we go, I'm going to remind you that you can pre-order Commander Legends singles right now until 20 November. That's starcitygames.com/CMR. But that's not all. The Commander Collection's green set is going to be available. That URL, starcitygames.com/CC1. And if you want the singles, URL starcitygames.com/CC2. Get those sweet, sweet cards as soon as you can.
Sweet
If you're watching us on YouTube, yes, sweet, sweet cards. If you're watching us on YouTube, please remember to follow, like, subscribe, comment, share, and ring those bells. We'd hate for you to miss an episode where Anthony's initial question continues to go unanswered. So where can these good folks find you on the social media?
On the social medias, you can find me on Twitter at Anthony A. Alongi, and on Facebook, I'm at Anthony Alongi.
I'm on Twitter and Facebook by my name. That's Sheldon Menery. Please tune into my other show, The Command Chair, every Thursday here on StarCityGames.com and YouTube. Also on Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern in the U.S. You can catch me and the rest of my Commander RC reprobates on the Commander RC Twitch channel. That's twitch.tv/Commander RC. On Sundays, we run it again, 2 p.m. Eastern in the U.S. Then finally, every Sunday, you can find me right here on this very website, writing about the best format in Magic history. As always, I'm Sheldon Menery.
And I'm Anthony Alongi. Thank you once again for sharing your community with us.